My advice for drummers is like, don't take the music business so serious. Do your thing. Just enjoy. Do you have fun? Like, there is no plan to make it. What does it mean? Like playing, doing tours on a tour bus, or have like playing in stadiums and have like 4 days off in a, luxury hotel. So for me, it's like, just enjoy, have fun, and if something arrives like really, really professional, do it. But until then, just enjoy it. Don't have a plan. Do it as best as you can. And maybe a plan B is not a bad idea.
What's up, man? How are you? Thanks for doing this.
Everything's cool, man. My pleasure. It's been a long day today. I was running around for a visa for Japan, so I kind of lost a little bit of practicing today. We getting ready for the tour, but all good, no problem.
Good, all good problems.
Yeah.
Huh? Very cool. Well, before, I wanted to make sure I pronounced your name correctly, George Kolias. Is that right?
It's Kollias, but
Kolias. Thank you.
Everybody in the States call me Kolias, man. It doesn't matter. Seriously.
Kolias. Well, that's why I always ask, because I traveled a ton, especially when I was younger, and to different countries, and I always like to make sure. So, Kolias, correct?
Kolias, yeah.
Kolias, gotcha.
That's correct.
Awesome. So before we get started, what are some things you kind of want to make sure that we touch on while we're talking? Are there any topics you like talking around? Are there any things you want to make sure we kind of bring up, those types of things?
Well, obviously, this is like I guess like a promo for the new Nile album, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But besides that, I do a lot of prog fusion, jazz fusion stuff. Like, to be honest, lately, that's all I do.
Good. Very cool.
But I mean, man, it's fucking music, man. It doesn't matter. But yeah, I'm here. Whatever you want, we can discuss. Nice symbols, by the way. That's a K.
Oh yeah, which one we're looking at? Well, this is the a 23-inch K Sweet Ride, and
Sweet Ride.
And then we got New Beats over here, Dark Crash and Dark Crash there. But over there, I've got the Zildjian made the K Sweets, but they made Brilliant Finish.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they released those to purchase, but they had them whenever I went to talk to them at one of the drum shows, and they had them there, and I was like, hey, can I get those? Can I get those? I really like them. And after the show, they wound up sending them to me. I don't know if they ever released them, but they're on that kit behind me. There's another kit behind. Well, cool. You can't see it. It's over there. So
that's cool.
So yeah, man. Very cool. Well, we'll just get started. I'll kind of intro it.
Okay.
And and then we'll Kolias, George Kolias, and Nile. Okay, cool. Very cool. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Drum Show. I'm really excited about today's episode. We've got George Kolias with us from the group Nile, as well as just an extremely well-rounded drummer. You're known for metal drumming, but you are quite the well-rounded drummer. So welcome to the show, man. Thank you for taking the time.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure, man. Thank you.
You said you've been running around today trying to get a visa for Japan, correct?
Yes, today was a long day. The problem is, like, I moved away from Athens, where I used to live for like 23 years or so. So now I'm like on the beach side, like an hour away from Athens. So now like I'm really focusing on the pre-production, get ready for the tour. So anything like that, it's really disturbing, but it has to be done, because then we're going to be on the road. And right after the European tour, we have Japan, Australia, and some other places.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people don't realize about, I just came off the road from a year and a half with a Southern rock group, and a lot of people don't realize the amount of time you spend doing other things besides drumming. That's like, to do your job, you've got to do all of these things just to be able to get there to do the job that you are trained to do.
I think you're 100% correct. And one time I heard one MotoGP rider, like a motor rider anyways, he was saying, the last thing I do as a rider is to ride my motorcycle. And I say the same about the drums. Like, the last thing you do is like play your drums and enjoy. There's so much stuff to be done, man. Get ready for the tour, and, emails, obviously, and all this stuff, which is fun because, I love, talking drums and, everything. But it takes time from playing, which is a little bit, sometimes difficult.
Yeah, what was the saying I heard a few years ago? Travel is glamorous to anyone that doesn't do it. To those that do it, it's just kind of like, it's just a grind to get there. So so y'all are going, obviously, a multinational tour. You're going because y'all have a new album coming out. Is that correct?
Yes, it's coming out in 2 days, finally, because I say finally because we did some extra work for this one, which is, man, like every time we go deeper and deeper and we take more time, we super analyze things. To be honest, I hate this part because, like sometimes for me, it's like one take, whatever, like, you write a song or something and this is the best you can have, because, it's just the first take is always the best, and then the more you analyze things, the more you change stuff. And, I mean, the results are amazing. So I'm very thankful, but it took a lot of time. So finally, people will be able to hear the whole thing, which I'm really, really proud. And I can't wait, actually. And then we started touring with Europe first for weeks. Then we got 6 days off. And then we go to Singapore, Thailand, Japan. We do Australia, Tasmania for the first time ever, and New Zealand. And I'm very excited because, we haven't been there for a long time because of COVID. So that'll be exciting.
How long have you been with the group?
In October 4th will be 20 years.
Wow, that's a long time. That's
right?
great. That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Now, take me back, kind of before you were with the group.
Yep.
When did you get started? Because you started playing drums as a kid, from what I understand.
Yep.
Is that correct? Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yes.
And I was a little bit later. I didn't start till about 14, 15. And so take me back. What got you into music? What kind of sparked the interest?
I think it was a day in my old hometown, with the same city like I'm right now, actually. And there was one of the kids in the neighborhood. He came from Canada. His name was George. And he was listening to some Judas Priest and AC/DC and all this stuff. I was 7 years old and I was with my brother. And we went there and he was like, guys, let's, let me play you something. And dude, I remember, for those about to rock, like I remember where I was sitting. I can get you there right now, and it was that thing, like sparked the whole thing. So from that day, I'm a metalhead, period. And then it was a next thing to grab a guitar and start playing, self-taught. I think I was doing pretty well, actually, at 10 years old. And then I was looking for the opportunity to buy a drum set, which I made it in when I was 12 years old. But technically, I was kind of playing since 10 years old or something. So yeah, for those about to rock, man, I still get the chills when I listen to that song because I remember that day, So metalhead since 7 years old.
Yeah, since the beginning. It's funny how we make those core memories of how kind of music is introduced to us, or as we go along. Mine was when I first got my, I had a Ludwig Ludwig rocker drum set that my parents got me, and I set it up in the living room. And then I didn't have any headphones or anything, so I put on my my stereo like right beside me, and grunge had just come through, and the Weezer album had dropped, and I played the Sweater song. I'd always thought I could play that one, and I put it on, and I remember I don't think I've ever performed that well, at least in my mind, right? In my mind, I mean, it was the first time I'd ever played to a song, and it was just the best thing in the world to play to that. So it's awesome. You can recall those memories. So take me through, because I think that's a thing that some players may not know about you, is that even though you've been with a metal group for 20 years, that is not all you play. And we were just talking about that before we started. You're quite a well-versed player. Not only that, you teach too, as well.
I do teach, yes.
Yeah. So walk me through that, because I know that you've dabbled in jazz. You were talking about you're actually playing more prog and fusion than you are other things at this point.
Yeah. Well, as a kid, I think, not I think, for sure, it was a Justice for All from Metallica. That was like the album, like, oh, I want to play drums, because the drums were like, from my generation of drummers, like pretty much everybody started because of Lars. Then I got into Sepultura and more like speed thrash bands like Slayer, obviously, Creator. Later on, Death, with Richard Christie, Son Rainer, the more tech stuff. So that's where everything started. Like, okay, let's get deeper and deeper. And then I started teaching, and it was I just wanted to play like more complicated stuff. I had a band back then playing thrash death metal. Then right before Nile, me and a couple of friends, we formed a band which the name is Sickening Horror, and we I left the band after the first album, but the first album, man, it was crazy, that's crazy, like fast, like Nile, but like also technical. That's where Nile actually saw me and they hired me. So I think that's where everything started. And then, of course, drums becomes a passion. All I want to do is talk drums and all this stuff. I mean, eventually it became my job, but you know very well that it's not only a job, man. Like, I like talk drums. I like, discuss about techniques and stuff and share stuff. And the only difference now is sometimes I get paid.
sometimes you get a little bit of money, a little bit of that cash.
Yeah.
Coming through. I like it.
We have to support a lot of stuff, like, for example, I record a lot of albums here. Last year I did 13 albums. Wow. In this room. So somebody has to pay for the stuff. Otherwise, I wouldn't mind, teach for free. And, I did my free part, a lot in my younger age. But now, of course.
Well, so let's talk about that. I want to talk about that because I talk to my students all the time. We've got a student call. I've got an online drum school, and it's been open now for 13 years, going on 14 years. And so we've got a student call coming up here in a little bit. And there's a lot of things that come up. And as another as a fellow teacher, I'd like to have your input on this. So everything, when I got started playing, my dad was a pastor, so I started playing actually in church. Those were my first gigs, 3 times a week with rehearsals. Turns out the guy I was rehearsing with also wrote for, the local symphony orchestras, Mississippi Symphony Orchestra, Mobile. So I was playing with guys that were way more talented than I was at the time. And I did it all for free for years and years and years. Yep. I worked for free. I just took every opportunity that came my way. If it looked fun, I was like, yes. I just said yes until I couldn't say yes anymore. And nowadays, I will occasionally still do free stuff if I feel like I like the players, or if I feel like it could lead to something else, or if it's a contact I wanted to make. There are times where it's like, okay, but I've talked to players where they start making a little bit of money, and then they don't ever want to recognize the role that playing for free at a point in their career paid for them. I can trace almost every one of my gigs back to a free event that I played and the players that were there and the contacts I made through that. Can you talk about a little bit about that for yourself?
I think I did like 45 to 50 albums before I get my first money. Like before I get paid for the first time by playing music. And back then I was well known in Greece, but not outside Greece, So, but still, they used a lot my name for the local scene. And then when I got the Nile gig, most of these bands, they were re-releasing their albums saying like, oh, we got the drummer of Nile, which was very annoying, but whatever. For me, every session was a studio experience. So how many drummers have the opportunity to go to 15 different studios and record with 15 different producers and listen to their drumming in an album, and then how it blends with each band, the music and all this stuff. So it was a big school for me. It was great. No complaints. I wish I could get a little bit of money to support my gear and everything, but because I was always broke, like get paid from the job, pedals, get paid sticks, cymbals, like that was the whole story. But like I said, you get experience. And then when I got the gig with Nile and we were in the same room playing for the first time, they were like, man, your timing is incredible. I'm like, really? My time? Because, just playing with all these bands on the click. Here's a funny story, really quick. One time I was playing for a melodic death metal band. The usual do-da, da do-da, some faster parts, but really pocket stuff. And I did like 9 tracks, I think. I did a recording in 1 hour or something. And then, or less actually, it was like 50 minutes or something. And then the producer said, oh man, fuck, I forgot one of the overheads. I'm like, no problem. So I went back then and did it again. So pretty much one take, everything, and it sounded pretty good, So I'm like, man, that was the point that I realized you are on a level. That's a good level, So, and of course, no money.
The first album I ever cut, it was before everything had kind of gone digital, or we were just starting to make that transition. And he lost two or three of the songs. He lost the sessions.
Oh man.
Didn't end. So it was a huge deal. We had to go in and redo them, but the same thing. I didn't get paid for it. It was just, you got to go back in and redo the work. And I think you bring up a good point. Payment, especially in our early formative years, doesn't always come in the form of money. Sometimes the more important payment is, like you talked about, the producers, the studios you got to go to, having all that time behind the board and being able to listen and critique your drumming. That's a different type of payment that paid dividends way down the road for you. And I think maybe helped you whenever you grabbed the gig with Nile. Sounds like, at least with your timing and those types of things.
Yeah, man, the miles, like, it's what you need to do as a drummer. Always just do the miles, as many as you can, before like a very professional gig arrives or something. But to be honest, what I say to my students when they ask me for what do you do to promote yourself? Man, I did nothing, absolutely nothing. The only thing I did, and that's what I advise them: go on stage, heal everybody, be the best, at least, the best you can. So there is no compromising. There is no, oh, we're friends. It's a big competition. When you go on stage, you have to kill everybody. You have to be the best. So my fun was to practice really hard. Just so I can go on the stage for like 1 hour with a local band and just kill it. But then after the show, I had 20 drummers or musicians wanted to talk to me. And then I was finding more gigs, students, and all this stuff. So my advice for drummers is like, don't take the music business so serious. Okay, just do your thing. Just enjoy. Do you have fun? Like, there is no plan to make it. Okay, and what make it means? What does it mean? Like playing, doing tours on a tour bus, or have like playing in stadiums and have like 4 days off in a luxury hotel. So what does it mean? I don't understand. So for me, it's like, just enjoy, have fun, and if something arrives like really, really professional, do it. But until then, just enjoy it. Don't have a plan. Do it as best as you can. And maybe a plan B is not a bad idea. Or maybe the drumming can be plan B. That's my hobby.
This podcast is brought to you by the Drum Better Daily program. That's actually my online drum school that I've run now for 12 plus years. Not only have I been playing the drums professionally since the age of 15, I've been teaching since the age of 18. Matter of fact, I talked to one of my first student a few days ago. I actually called him to see if he could sub a gig out for me. Daniel, love you, man. And he's still playing. He's still doing it on a pro level. I would love to have you go check it out at stevensdrumshed.com. You can find a link to that in the show notes or video description, whichever platform you're watching it on. But it truly is a community of like-minded drummers where we are striving to just be the best that we can be at the drums. In addition to over 70 pre-recorded drum courses, there's also a tech talk area where we talk about everything technology related as it pertains to the drums, e-kits, recording, doing videos, all of that stuff. There are forums where you can hang out with the other students as well. We do 2 live video student calls every week that you can join if you'd like to. We do guest artist calls monthly, and I'll even make you a personalized lesson plan if that's what you need. Yes, we talk about the nuts and bolts of drumming. Yes, I give you exercises, but we also talk a lot about how to practice more efficiently, how to practice better, and how to get more out of your practice time. I know you're just like me. You're busy, you're being pulled by work, by family, by friends, by other responsibilities. Whenever you practice, you really want to see gains and have it be productive. That is what we focus on in the Drum Better Daily program. I'll have to say personally, it's been really cool because some of these students I've worked with for over 12 years, we started running drum camps last year in 2022, and I got to meet some of them in person for the first time. Those drum camps have been selling out. They've been just blowing my mind with how much fun they are and how great a time it is to bring the community together in person. A community that was started online and has been going online strong now for over 12 years. I'd love to have you be a part of it.
For me, it was always my hobby. And I had friends saying, why you don't say that you're a professional drummer? I'm like, because I don't want to be a professional drummer, because I knew many professional drummers back then and everybody was broke. So I'm like, I don't want to do it. Until Nile called me. I'm like, man, I'm in the States. dude, I play for an album for this label, and then we got a contract for a bigger label. So that's where I was like, okay, now I'm a professional drummer, you know. And then the DVDs arrived, my 2 DVDs and my 2 books. That's strictly because of the passion of sharing drums. Like, for example, my second DVD is like 6 hours and 40 minutes. Who does that? you gotta be an idiot to do that. That's throwing away money, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, but like I said, no regrets. I love it. I love sharing stuff, and it's pretty much my life so far.
Yeah, I've always, there's an old saying he was a motivational speaker named Zig Ziglar. He says, you can have anything in life you want if you help enough other people get what they want. So by teaching, by oversharing, by giving, by playing in these free situations, you get everything you want eventually. It all pans out. So let's talk about. Go ahead.
Sorry, it just got me the gig that. Like obviously if you're 20 years in a band means like you found the gig, I kind of knew it before I even joined them because, Nile is one of the bands that they push. And the last album we have is the proof. It's more crazy than everything we did, I'm 47. I should be calming down right now. Man, it's crazy. This album is crazy. But that's the reason I'm with these guys because, it's always like pushing everybody studies. And anyway, go on. Sorry.
Yeah. That's amazing. Well, I'm interested as a player. I'm interested in kind of your formative time because I think all players have this formative time. So obviously, you got to a point where you're able to record some albums. You're playing live locally. Did you have teachers at an early age? Did you hook up with any mentors at that time that helped push you and kind of guide you along?
My first teacher was a guitar teacher, which obviously he knew explain the first steps in drumming and do the basic reading and all this stuff. So he helped me how to read music, which was very, very important. His name was Vasilis Paksevanakis, kick-ass guitar player. I was 11 and a half or 12 back then. But obviously being young and stupid, I just wanted to play thrash, so I left the school, the music school very early, and I was like focusing on my things and playing like Slayer and Sepultura all day. But then I met Yannis Stavropoulos, which is my drum teacher, mentor, best friend, big brother, and that guy changed my life because he's a jazz player, mostly big band stuff, which is kind of like death metal. Mm-hmm. It's extreme, like fast and, like very busy and very musical as well. So I remember being on his class for the first time, and I was, we were like 12 people in his class. So I had the opportunity, I joined the school, and I was like, everybody was playing jazz. And I said, listen, I play death metal. I can leave if I don't fit here. He said, no, I will help you to play death metal in a better way. And he did. But he also changed me on every point on drumming. Started listening to a little bit of jazz and funk and understand the grooving and all this stuff, which I could play AC/DC and like all these bands, but the real groove comes from funk music. It's really, really deep, so you need somebody to, or for me as a death metal drummer, you need some guidance, so I think that's why today I'm more like rounded as a drummer, but let's be honest, everybody knows me from blast beats and stuff, and I don't mind.
Sure. Hey, you're known for what you're known for. That's similar to me. Whenever I came into drumming, I listened to nothing but punk rock. That was it. Yep. It was all that. And my first drum teacher, Henrique de Almeida, he later taught at Berkeley, and just a fantastic guy. He's from Brazil. Yep. And he had played with a bunch of Brazil pop artists over there, very big artists. And then he had played with Wayne Naw. You know Henrique?
Yes, I know the name. Yes.
He's an amazing guy. If you're ever in Colorado, runs a great drum school there now. And he played with Wayne Noss, fusion player Wayne Noss early on. And so when I came in, he was so enveloped into that fusion and jazz world that he took this little punk rocker and kind of started exposing me to, hey, there's other things besides this, and they'll help you play that stuff better. Same way your teacher said, which is I think a sign of a great teacher. They don't take the student and try to make them just a jazzer. They take them and
Yes.
go, no, if you will learn this, it's going to help you play this better. You know, it's going to
Yes,
help.
exactly.
Yeah.
My teacher was in Berkeley, old school Berkeley, you know, like with some amazing teachers and amazing drummers. I think it was same year that Mike Portnoy was there or something like that, you know. He had the opportunity to play with Zappa's band, and you know, like, you know, he has some history and stuff. But what the characteristic of Yanis, which is really incredible, man, he will take a book and he will be like, okay, here's a book, page 62, 67. That's it. I'm like, what do you mean that's it? He said, no, only do these, you know. So everybody calls him here Mr. Shortcut, you know, because he gets you exactly where the juice is, you know, like this is it. So yeah, man, it's like he's a great teacher and a great player, but not very active with music because he likes extreme sports and stuff. And so,
yeah, it doesn't work out too well when you like that.
Yeah.
So question to you about foot technique, because a lot of what you play is very technical and obviously depends a lot on speed, clarity whenever you're playing at those high tempos to make sure, especially when you're playing with something as large as a bass drum, make sure that comes through. Let's talk about your foot technique a little bit. What do you use? Are you using a constant release? What are you kind of, what's your go-to whenever you're playing that?
My foot technique? Like we have two kinds of foot technique, right? The heel up. I mean, if I can show it like this, okay, and the heel down. So the flat foot technique, we call it flat foot technique, ankle motion, you know, whatever. It's almost like heel down, but the heel doesn't touch the pedal. So I think this is it, like a copy of what you do on your hands if you play wrist. Okay.
And so you're making use of, you've got a stroke when your heel comes down and a stroke when you're
no.
Just
that's the push pull or something.
Yeah.
No, for me it's like heel stays here, and then you play with your toes. Okay. This is it. And I do a little bit of swiveling because it kind of gets you in the groove. For example, like I noticed lately some really fast blast speeds because I blast with one foot. So all the 8 notes you hear are 250, 270, whatever, it's all with one foot, which used to be the thing, but nobody does it anymore, which is stupid. But anyway, I noticed like I'm doing 2 strokes per side. So it's still this motion, but it kind of goes like 1, 1, 2, 1, 2. So pop, 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 pop. So you do a little bit of, it's kind of like, it gives you some swing. Okay, and locks you better on the beat and makes everything like to flow a little bit better. Like it feels right, you know. So I would say the main thing that people know me for will be the single foot blast beat and singles when I play double bass grooves and stuff, you know.
Okay, very cool.
So pretty simple technique. I mean, that's the only way to play. And then of course you have some shortcuts. Now they have the new doubles. I don't know if you see that, which is I'm so against, but I don't like talking about it because all my students does it. You know, the only thing I was saying is like, whatever it's easier will make you lazy. That's it. So, you know, yeah, I can play for longer periods. What if you practice with singles, then you can play for longer periods, you know? So yeah, that's the only thing. Makes you a little bit lazy. All the techniques and secrets and shortcuts makes you work a little bit less, and that's not good for you as a drummer.
Now you're still actively teaching, and I always like to talk to teachers about this and get their viewpoint, because you know, music and drumming evolves. Obviously, that's what makes it wonderful. I always like to talk to them. What are some things that you're seeing with your students that two things that you like that you're seeing kind of overall, and some things that you dislike in some of your students that are coming up as you're trying to teach them? What are some, can you talk to some of that?
Yeah. One of the things I really like is like my students, or students in general, man, I would say 80% of the metal community, metal drummers, like the well-known drummers, younger generations, obviously, they're more open-minded to other styles of drumming, which, you know, they know about rudiments. They know about, you know, what groove is. like basic stuff, which if you go to an old school thrash drummer and say, can you play me some rudiments? We'll be like, what is this, so they're more educated, which is really cool, more open-minded to other styles of music, which is also way cool, because the worst thing can happen is like you get more work, so what I don't like, not too many things, because I always understand their level and I try to get there. And for example, like one of my students, he's like 15 years old, all he wants to do is playing fast, and I'm like, dude, you have to, do that, of course, play music. If you have like 4 hours every day to play drums, or 2 hours, let's say 2 hours, one can be practicing, the other just playing music. Just enjoy the music. Practicing is boring, it doesn't really do much. Playing music will give you a lot more, but if you add practicing as well, then you fine tuning all the little things that are bad. Okay, all he wants to do is playing fast. I try to correct him, he doesn't listen, and then I remember, man, I was the same thing. I was exactly the same. So I try to win their trust, and try to pass them other styles. For example, like play a pop song, and I ask him to play like I don't know, Christina Aguilera or something, Eros Ramazzotti song, and can you play like this drummer? He's like, man, this is so easy. Nobody did it yet. Nobody played a pop song the right way. Nobody. And then of course I see the video, I'm like, okay, let's talk about the bad things. 1, 2, 3, 4, 26, 27. So then they're like, okay, now I know. So I hope this lesson they will remember. So my best approach is to give them a song and like, play this. Some other people complain about Lars Ulrich. I'm like, play this song. Nobody can play it like us, so there you go.
I love that, man. I love that. And I love that you take each individual student as a unique entity, as a unique individual.
Yes.
I've met some teachers over the years that kind of have their curriculum, and that's what they do, and that's the only thing they do. And and I approach it much the same way you do. I lead with music. We need to be playing a lot of music, and then I talk to them about, hey, what do you like? What are you interested in? Let's work towards that. Let's talk about some of your gear, because I know you're with several companies. Yes. So what cymbals are you on? Are you on Zildjian? What are you on?
I'm with Zildjian. The past 2 years officially. I was with another brand for 18 years.
Okay.
But Zildjian was my main gig. Like, before, the story was like, I was playing Zildjians for many, many, many years. And when I joined Nile, I met somebody that he had a contact in Sabian, right? So he said, do you have, he saw me playing, and he was like, man, I never saw somebody playing like that fast, or, whatever. And he said, do you have like a gear, like a support from companies? I'm like, no, it's my first tour in the States. Nobody knows me. And he said, what cymbals you play? I said, Zildjian. He said, I'll send you to Sabian. And that was it. And I was like, okay. They were very nice to me for many years. They're very close on the sound of Zildjian, because, if you play Zildjians, you need something like that. I can't really play. I had the opportunity to go to other companies with much better deals. And it's all about the sound. So 2 years ago, there was one opportunity for me to get to Zildjian, and I grabbed it, man. And I'm like the happiest person in the world. Like, I love, like, for 2 years, I can't believe the sound. And I bought so many extra ride cymbals, rides and hi-hats. I bought many, and some effects. Also, you can't really see. Maybe this will help. But that's my fusion kit.
Oh, nice.
So that's where I mostly spend my time. And this is, for work. So that's where I rehearse for Nile, record for other bands, and Nile, obviously. But yeah, right there, I got some Keikos and Dinupos, like, man, some, like amazing cymbals. I mostly play case, and people are, they think it's a little bit strange. The Z Customs, for example, they just brought them back. And they're amazing cymbals, but if I play Z Customs, with that busy songs, like playing in Nile, man, it's gonna be like only cymbals, like a concert, like So I chose to go with darker. I love the darker cymbals, and it just blends so well in the music. Like I can hear the difference, especially like on this album, man. I can tell, like, man, this is what's up. But anyway, yeah, that's awesome. About the cymbals. Yeah,
very cool. And you're with Pearl Drums, is that correct?
with Pearl, I play Pearl all my life, actually. I'm officially with them since 2009, I think, 2000 or maybe 2010. I only had 3 years off with another company, a custom drum company from Greece. It's called Gabriel Drums. And the guy, really needed some help, somebody to take the drums outside Greece and, promote them. And I think many people learned the drums, but I was very lucky. He gave me 2 drum sets, like a custom drum sets. He makes like every piece with his hand. Good drums, but, man, if you're pro, you're pro. That's it. So the contract I had with this guy was, this company was for 4 years, but I asked him to break it, in 3 years. And I was like, man, I gotta go to Pearl. And he let me. He was very happy, and we're still friends, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's harder to stay with smaller drum companies whenever, especially when you're touring and you're trying to get backline, and you can't always get what you need where you need it. So before we go, I want to respect your time. You guys have the new album dropping. When did you say it drops? In 2 days?
Yeah, 23rd. Okay. August 23rd.
Yeah, so that's August 23rd. Whenever you're listening to this, that's 2024. So go check that album out. And then if you can, before we get out of here, if you could give one piece of advice to up and coming drummers that you just kind of wish you had gotten whenever you were their age, what would that be?
I got it actually, but 10 years later. You got to find something you like and do it as much as you can. Like, for example, let's I want to drive, race. I want to race cars. You want to race cars, and you race a car every day for like 7 hours a day. Man, in 5 years you'll be in that pro level. Maybe 7 years. Whatever. So if you really like something, and where you find something that you really like. Now, for example, like when I was in school, I was young. I was in school. I was like, man, I can't wait to go home to play drums. Like I want to play drums. That's all I want to do. So I was lucky. I found it like really, really early. And I was trying to do it as much as I can. Unfortunately, I didn't have the support I needed, like money-wise, gear-wise. Like if you think like my first studio, like my first official studio in my house was like 6 years ago. Mm-hmm. And then I was renting on another place for like 9 years. Like it was always like a guerrilla situation, So I think if I had a little bit more support from my parents on drumming, well, actually, this is a question: would be better or not? Because if you don't have the luxury, maybe you get a little bit more like pissed off, and like. I don't know. You get like psyched with with this thing, like you get obsessed. So find what you really like and do it as much as you can, and don't rush. Which is the thing I see in my students many times. Everybody's like so hungry to go to that pro level. For example, let me give you a quick example. Let's say 250 BPM double bass, which is like a goal everybody in death metal, everybody wants it. Okay. So everybody's trying different techniques, like doubles, whatever. Like, this pedal with 2 beaters, like you play like 8 notes and play 16s. Like they try, yes, whatever it takes, except the real work. They just don't put the miles there, okay? And I say, man, you're missing the most important thing: the journey, not the arrival. Like for me, being 12 years old and then 26 years old and hitting 250 clean, and I'm like, man, I made it. I can do it. It didn't took that long. I'm just saying, like, this was like the progress of the music. But finally, 26 years old, I did it. But the journey, it's what's up, So don't find ways to get there next month. Just put the miles, and trust me, they will pay off. Like if you spend 3 hours a day on the drums, they will pay off. This is a guarantee. So yeah, just enjoy the journey.
Yeah, that's all there is. There's no destination. The only destination is we're gonna die. So I don't
Yeah.
want to get there too quick. I wanna enjoy that whole journey. And I agree with you. With when it came to, I went to college for jazz studies. I got a degree in jazz studies, and I agree with you. I had to pay for it, right? My wife and I, we paid for it whenever I went back, and I was kind of pissed off about that. Like, hey, I could have used some help. But then the same thing, I thought, well, hold on. Would I have tried as hard? Would I have put in as much work? Would I have done what I did if I would have had a free ride? If it wasn't my money?
Yes.
And I don't know. I have to think like you kind of think. I don't know that I would have.
This is a question which nobody will answer. But I don't care, man. I had fun. Pretty much playing, like learning how to play in couches and hitting stuff and hitting the floor and playing double bass. And then of course the police will knock the door once, twice, but it was fun. Now that I'm thinking about it, it was great, man. I miss those years and the police.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time, George. Everybody go check out Nile's new album. Be safe on the road, have fun, and enjoy the journey, as you said. Awesome. We'll talk soon, man. Thanks so much.
Okay. Cheers, man. Thank you.